Hello, everybody. Welcome to our How to Land Your Dream Job webinar. I'm Temple Northup. I'm the director of the School of Journalism and Media Studies at SDSU, and I'm the host of today's webinar. Before I turn things over to our incredible panel that you're here to see, I'd like to briefly do SDSU's land acknowledgement. For millennia, the Kumeyaay people have been part of this land. This land has nourished, healed, protected, and embraced them for many generations in a relationship of balance and harmony. As members of the San Diego State community, we acknowledge this legacy. We promote this balance and harmony. We find inspiration from this land, the land of the Kumeyaay. Now, to get things going, let me toss things over to our host and moderator, Katrina.
All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Land Your Dream Job, an event series by Adobe, where we chat with special guests on how they are achieving their dream careers. If we're just meeting, my name is Katrina Torrijos, and I am the Adobe Express evangelist. So I host a bunch of career events just like this, and I also teach folks how to use Adobe Express. So shout out to everyone in chat with us. Feel free to let us know down below where you're tuning in from, and also feel free to connect with each other in the chat and also throughout the stream. All right, so, oops, my bad. Today we are joined by Summer McGuckin, Aaron Rosati, Vicky Vo, and Sabrina Sanchez, all amazing Cal State grads that have landed their dream internships and careers. And we'll be doing a Q&A session, and they'll show us some of the cool projects that they made with Adobe Express. And we also have a very special challenge and some fun giveaways happening for you today. So here is pretty much how it works. So first, we do have a template for y'all to use today. After we do our quick demo, I'll have a mod drop it in chat. But pretty much, you open this template, you remix the design, and then you post it in the chat for a chance to win a one-on-one mentoring session with one of our panelists or another cool Adobe prize. So with that said, I'm just going to go ahead and get into it and show y'all Adobe Express. And also let me know in the chat if you've heard of Adobe Express before, if you haven't, if you've used it or not. Let me know. So give me a second while I just get set up here. Let's see. Oh, and also let me look at the chat. Oh my gosh, there's so many people here. We have Angel from Cal Poly Slow. Hi, Kat from SJSU. Tommy, SJSU. Vivian, SDSU. Oh my goodness. Love it. Wow, so many San Jose's and so many San Diego States. Love it. We have Victoria from Fresno. Hi. Talia from CSU Northridge. Hello. Oh my gosh, I'm so behind on chat. We love to see it. Oh my gosh, thank you all so much for being here. So let me just share my screen again. All right, let me know in the chat if you've heard of Adobe Express before, but if you haven't, it's pretty much Adobe's tool to help you create content quickly and easily for your brand, your business, or your personal projects. And this is kind of what it looks like in the editor, and this is actually the template that y'all will be able to remix today. So without going too much into it, we only have an hour together today, and I really want to get to the questions. It's really easy to get started. It's super easy to just move things around. You can also like change the text. You can add whatever you want. Like, for example, taking this section here, I play piano. Fun fact, I played piano for about 18 years before I went to college. And then we're going to take this violin or cello, I don't know what it is, oh my gosh, instruments asset. We're just going to delete that, go into elements, let's type in piano. I think there's a piano. Yes, there is. So there's a bunch of different ones to choose from. Let's put in this one, and like so. And again, it's super easy. If you want to replace this image, you can definitely use a stock photo if you want, but you can also replace it with an image of yourself. You can upload it from your device or wherever it's stored. Let's put in this one. Super cute. And then it should automatically move the background just like that. Again, super easy to make changes to this template. You can also change the colors by going to the theme and then just swapping through these color palettes here. But Again, if you have your own brand colors, if you have a brand kit, you can also access that through your Creative Cloud libraries as well. So all of your files are here. You can upload your logos, color palettes, custom fonts, all of that stuff. For example, this is what mine looks like. So everything's here. Feel free to explore on your own as we're going through this session. But we would love to see what you made. And then lastly, before I move on, how many of y'all heard the big news today? Adobe Firefly came out of beta, so we do have text to image and text effects now available for you to use in all types of projects. So for this background, I love the solid color background, but actually one pro tip that I like to do with Adobe Firefly is to generate my own background. So part of my brand colors is like pastel pinks and purples. So I'll do like a pastel pink and purple gradient background. And then we'll hit generate, and look how quickly it did that. And then from there, we'll just go back. We'll set the page as the background. And now we have a nice snazzy custom gradient background. So again, Adobe Express is super easy for you to get started. Again, as we're going through this session, feel free to explore, drop any questions you have in chat, and then my team can help you out. But just have some fun, and then make sure once you're done with this template, just download it to your device and like post it in the chat for a chance to be randomly selected for a mentoring session or some Adobe swag. So awesome. So that is the quick demo. Yay. Round of applause. I made it through. All right. So you four, are you ready to answer some questions? Yeah, we're good? Okay. So like I said earlier, chat, this is a Q&A. So if you have any questions for any of our panelists, feel free to drop them in the chat as well. But to just kick things off, let's start off with some introductions. Introduce yourself. Who are you? What do you do? And just a little bit about yourself and where you went to school, what you majored in, all that stuff. So we'll start, we'll actually go in alphabetical order. So Aaron, we'll start with you.
Perfect. Thank you, Katrina. Hi, everyone. My name is Aaron Rosati. I am currently an account strategist at Google for about a year now. Graduated just last year from San Jose State University, so go Spartans. A little bit about me, just I love my job, love working with customers, working with clients on a day-to-day basis. Personally, huge sports fanatic, so baseball, basketball, football, it's a great time for me right now. So that's a little about me, but I'll pass it on to who's next.
All right, alphabetical order. Who's next?
I think it's me.
Sabrina.
We have
right?
a lot of end of alphabet letters.
Okay, yeah. Go for it.
Hi, my name's Sabrina. I graduated from Cal State Fullerton last year. I was a graphic and interactive design major. And for this past year, I was a graphic design professional intern at Disney Parks Experiences and Products. And it was great. It was really fun. Our offices were backstage and got to be right next to the park all the time. So really excited to chat with Cal State students today to talk about it more.
Great. Okay, Summer.
Alrighty. Hi, everyone. My name's Summer. I am a recent SDSU grad. I majored in integrated marketing communications, and I'm now working full-time. I have been for about 6 months as an associate operations program consultant here at Adobe. So I'm just a project manager for the professional services operations team, which is a lot of fun, and it's been a super exciting journey so far. So I'm excited to get to chat with you all.
And I think lastly is me. Hi everyone, my name is Vicky. I am a user experience designer working for Adobe. I focus on drawing and painting, and I work on a product called Adobe Fresco. I am an SJSU grad, and I started at Adobe as an intern, and now I'm a full-time employee for I think almost 2 years now. I see a lot of SJSU students here, so very excited to be here. Thank you.
Love it. Thank y'all so much for those wonderful introductions. Okay, so since we're still getting to know y'all, the first question, or I guess now technically the second question, is how did you come across your current role? Again, we'll go alphabetical. So Aaron, go for it.
Perfect. Yeah, great question, Katrina. For me, it was a little interesting. So way back when I was a junior in college, I applied to this internship called Bold with Google with GCS in specific. So this is the role that I'm in right now, but just the internship version. Applied, went through the process, and didn't hear back. Actually got denied from the role. So it's a very sad experience. But positive thing is Adobe came in, gave me an offer for their internship. So I did that, and that was great. But for me, really just looking through Google, trying to find, a job that fits my skill set and what I want to do. And which for me, it was just working with companies, working with businesses. And I was lucky enough to have, a mentor, one of my former teachers who happen to work at Google right now. So she helped me throughout the process, used my network, used like mentors that I had, and took it to my advantage. So that's how I found my job.
Nice. Nice, Sabrina.
Mine was not interesting. I just found a listing on LinkedIn and that was it. And I applied. But yeah, I hear like a lot of people in Disney, like they transfer from working in parks and then working into the office roles. So I was one of like the kind of the on the outskirts because I just got in from the outside. So yeah, LinkedIn.
Nice.
I was an Adobe student ambassador throughout college, which was a really cool experience. And as part of that, I saw some of the recruiters and community managers who were involved in the program posting about these webinars for different roles across Adobe. And so I started going to them. I went to one for sales and consulting. And when I registered, I had to submit my resume as part of that like RSVP process. And from there, I think I was pushed along in the consulting track. And that's how I found out about the various consulting internship opportunities at Adobe.
Nice. That's awesome. And how about you, Vicky?
I think for me, most of my internship I know about or like got it from like connection within like LinkedIn. I think for me, I connect with a bunch of recruiters at different companies, especially the one that I want to get into, and reach out to them and share more on LinkedIn of what I worked on. And so some recruiters reach out to me and invite to apply for an internship. Or I think for Adobe, I found the internship specifically from one of their posts. They announced when the internship recruitment start. And then I found the listing on a website called Untap, which is a similar recruitment website like Handshake, where they focus on internship for students. So that's where I apply and got the internship for Adobe. But most of my internship before that, prior to Adobe, also come from knowing recruiter and connect with them on LinkedIn.
Oh, nice. Okay, that is so cool to hear from everyone's like experience, how they got to their current role, like from finding, posts on LinkedIn or going to different webinars or even like networking and stuff like that. Like for me personally, how I got to Adobe was through being tagged on a Facebook post on a job listing. So there's so many different ways that you can get into your dream job, and you just never know where you'll find your next opportunity. So we have a bunch of questions from chat that I can't wait to ask. But before we get into it, again, like this is an interactive Q&A, so everyone in chat, feel free to just drop your questions. We have a mod queuing them up right now, so feel free to ask away. Okay, so the first question is from, let me scroll. This is from Manazvi. So how did you build your experience as a graphic designer? What opportunities did you utilize to help you in your journey? I think this might be specific for Sabrina, but I feel like a lot of us are we have two designers, right, on this panel? Two designers, right? Correct. Okay, anyways, let's go with Sabrina first.
Yeah, I can start. I think it's really important to make your work that you do in college work for you in your portfolio, because I know like when we're all graduating or when we're all right out of college, it's hard to have like a really like robust portfolio, and you might like look at your portfolio and say like, oh, I don't have that many projects. But when you're applying to things, people are going to know that you're right out of college, and they're going to completely understand that you don't have as many projects that you may want to have in your portfolio. So I would just say, out of the projects that you do in school, try to make them work as much for you as possible and for your portfolio. like one project that I did in college that that a lot of people who look at my portfolio, it's like their favorite thing from me is I did a 30-day project in a class where we had to make something new every day and post it on Instagram for 30 days. And I took that professor 3 times. So I did that project like 3 times. But that project was really great because it was one of my like later semester classes, and we got to really personalize it to what we wanted to do. So I incorporated a lot of my illustration work, and whenever I talk about it, I get to talk really a lot about like myself and my personality and what I love to do. And I feel like that's what people are the most interested in when they're looking at your portfolio and talking about it. So that's my portfolio advice for graphic design.
Nice. Vicky, you're also a designer, yes? So how did you build your experience when you were first starting out?
Yeah, I think the question is specifically for like graphic designer, which is what I started with. I think when I was just like, in high school and first few years of college, I did study to be a graphic designer. However, I transitioned to be a user experience designer, which what I do here is designing the interaction for users interacting with Adobe products. So it's like a little bit different, but I did start with graphic design. I think the question is what opportunities did I utilize? I think at the time when I was a student, I tried to promote my work a lot, meaning talking to people or like just within the school. I try to tell people what I do. And then I think opportunity comes along where a marketing department at school has, a slot that are looking for like a graphic designer. So that's kind of like my first job, getting by just being vocal about what I do. And so I think that's one thing that helped me to get started as like a first like designer job.
Mm-hmm. Nice. Yeah. I love it. Okay, so this question comes from Eliza. And even though it's specific to the Adobe people, I'm just going to open this up. But how do you find creativity in your day-to-day work? What inspires you to solve problems in a creative manner every day? And this time we'll start with Summer.
Okay, this is a good question. I found that I actually have a good opportunity to be creative in my day-to-day because I have kind of a unique role where there's nobody else doing exactly what I'm doing, and so there's a lot of opportunity for me to take on new projects, but also to present projects to my manager and to my team that I want to take on. And so that's kind of an exciting opportunity because I'm able to identify maybe where the team has done something the same way for a while, or where something could be a little bit more streamlined, and then bring in my own perspective and bring in a new idea to the team. So it's exciting in the sense that I'm able to utilize my background in design or anything like that to bring to the table as a project manager, but then also learn a lot from the team that I already work on, and those ideas are often supported. So I would say that.
Okay, cool. And then Aaron?
Yeah, so for me, it's very interesting. So in my day-to-day role, I work with clients on a day-to-day basis. So I'll have, 4 or 5 meetings with different people each and every day. So my creativity is more on the mental side than, visually. And it's really interesting with my day-to-day role. I work with small and medium-sized businesses. So I'll have days where I work with, the mom and pop shop that's been in a town for 25 years, and then I'll work with a CEO who just got $10 million in funding. Like, it's so diverse each and every day. So just mentally and just finding solutions for each and every person, just how different, how broad just their understanding of Google Ads is, which is the role I work on a day-to-day basis. That's where my creativity comes out. So whether it's, creating videos or creating, assets them for using Google Ads, or it's, finding ways to grow their, ad spend to a certain number where they get more leads, these are all very different problems on a day-to-day basis. So for me, my creativity is a lot more on the mental side, I would say, in my day-to-day job.
I love that. All right, Vicky?
I think for me, I'm in a very interesting role as a user experience designer, especially at Adobe. Basically, I design like tools for designers. So it's like a very, I think, interesting job. And I think it's like really helped me exercise, my creativity. So like my day-to-day here at work is just full of, like an intersection between like art and technology and design. And I think because that's something that I'm interested in, it's just really inspired me to exercise my creativity every day. And I think the other question is what inspired me to solve problems in creative manner every day. I think it's kind of hard to say because that's like part of my job. So my job is solving user problems every day that they have, thinking about building interactions of how someone would use an Adobe app. So, having that problem solving skills apply every day for users, but also working for like a creative company, kind of like it goes together. And so every day for me is just full of creativity. Very fun.
Nice. Okay, and Sabrina.
Yeah, no, I think like some of the moments where like I try to find, or it's hardest to find moments to be creative is like whenever I get assignments, it's like you have to make so and so graphic, and then they just give you a logo to work off of. And some of those are my favorites because you have to make it interesting for social media and for people to want to interact with it, and you just kind of get a logo and a go for it. And that's kind of, I really enjoy finding creativity within those restrictions. So like being able to find like a really interesting color palette and to make a really fun gradient, or I don't know, finding really small ways to make yourself happy about what you're doing in ways like color and stuff like that. Color for me is where I like to be creative, I think, the most.
Nice. I love that. Okay, so I have another question from an anonymous attendee. Do you have any tips for how to properly represent yourself on LinkedIn? And I'm going to open this question up a little bit more than just LinkedIn, but in your portfolio overall or resume, whatever you're submitting. We'll start with Aaron.
Great question. I think one thing you want to do on LinkedIn, that's your chance to really be yourself. And how do you show your professional self? Just like you have like an Instagram account, a TikTok account, right? These are all just representations of who you are. So even in a professional manner where, things could be a little strict, a little bit more, proper, you still want to show that personality in your LinkedIn resume. So, one thing that I do is I wanted to showcase when I started, I was big on extracurriculars. I was doing like sports, did baseball. I started like a sales club. So for me, I wanted to show that off as much as possible in my LinkedIn. So I did that. I would create these visual assets, post them on LinkedIn. They come to my events. I advertise myself as who I was, which was, for me, big on extracurriculars, big on sports, big on, starting clubs, stuff like that. So I think for me, it's just like finding what your strengths is, who you are as a person, just showcasing that on LinkedIn as much as you can.
Nice. Summer?
I would say, so I have two main tips, I think, for LinkedIn. The first being with any of the projects that you're involved in or any of the clubs you've done, any jobs you have, make sure that you are phrasing those bullets or descriptions of your roles with the measurable impact that you made on each of them. I think that that can both show how you are trying to, I guess, drive your own career and measure your success in the role, but also to kind of highlight the things that you're passionate about and the things that you are really skilled at. So the like description area of your LinkedIn, first of all, is a great way to showcase who you are and stand out. And then the second part to that is the way that you interact with other people's posts. I, especially when I was looking for internships and jobs, was on LinkedIn like every day, still kind of am. And just even to scroll and see what your friends are up to or other people in your network and finding ways to lift other people up, which is a huge part of networking, and support them. So commenting for reach on someone else's post or interacting with somebody else's like event that they may be hosting. All of that is also a way to showcase who you are and your brand on LinkedIn because your interactions go then into the feeds of everybody you're connected with, and it is a wonderful web of your personal brand that is then created for you in LinkedIn. So those would be my 2 main tips there.
Okay, Sabrina.
I think for me, my favorite thing to use on LinkedIn to show myself, my personality, is the banner. I change my banner a lot because I always like usually like if I'm working on something different, or if I don't know, if there's a project that I really want to showcase, I'll take the elements of it and I'll fit it into the size of a LinkedIn banner, and I'll put it there. I think that's a really fun way to show alongside like your accomplishments and your posts and just like your straight up resume. I think that's a really fun way to show like something more about like who you are as a person. Like if it's a photo of something that means something to you, or if it's your graphic designer and something that you're working on, I think that's a really good and creative way to spice up your LinkedIn.
All right, Vicky.
Yeah, I think all the panelists I think cover a lot of things that I want to share. But I completely agree about, being vocal and share out the things that you're passionate about and like what you like to do. I know like students could be, maybe shy from posting on LinkedIn, but I think it's definitely really helpful when you share out things that you do or like things that you are part of. That's when you like build your own reputation, and also you're building your network as well. And especially if you're like a student looking for jobs, when people see what you can do and what you're looking for, and if there's a team that's hiring, usually they will reach out to you. And I usually like use this example because I think I talked to a few students before and they think that posting on LinkedIn wouldn't do anything. But I would say that like my first few jobs I got from just like posting a lot on LinkedIn. Recruiter could reach out to you if they have open jobs. And I also like just send out connections and, make authentic, connection with people. And so when they have roles open or they have any opportunity for you, they will remember you. So yeah, but besides, being vocal about what you do, I also think that building authentic network and find like authentic and build like a genuine connection with your mentor is very important. Because a lot of like my mentors and people that I met on LinkedIn, I end up meeting in real life, and they're like now my friends, which is like pretty fun. And it's really helped you not just like during your time, in school looking for the first jobs, but also really help you build your career as as you progress in your career as well.
Nice. Okay, so while we're on the topic of building your career, there's another question in the chat that asks, like, a lot of job postings, they require quite a bit of experience, which can be a challenge for recent grads. So what are some of your tips on how to gain relevant experience after graduation? And we can start with you, Vicky, since we're on that topic.
Yeah, I think the first part is how to build like those experience. I think this is just like my case, or like my the things that I study, which is design, is especially for UX design, there's like there's like a lot of skills needed for product design. So instead of just focusing on the requirement courses in school, I also try to build my own course at school as well. So like if I'm for UX design, user research is something that is is a skill that is needed. And also like human interaction or somewhat psychology is needed for the role. I would just register for those class and just add it into my courses. So that's something I did. And for like job requirement and job posting, I know that a lot of time it asks for like extra experience to get an internship, or like they need like specific skill set. I would suggest like not be scared to apply, just go ahead and apply, but also notice what they're looking for and work on those. I think a lot of skills they look for is mostly a lot of the soft skills. I think the technical skill you can learn at school and stuff, but a lot of a lot of time during interview, they really want to see your soft skill as well. So that's something, as of right now, you're in school, you can look for resources and talk to people on how to develop more of your soft skills. I think that would be very, very helpful.
Nice. All right, let's hear from Aaron.
Yeah, I think Vicky said this too, but try to take advantage of as many like non-job, non-internship experiences that you can get. Because like internships, jobs, like those are hard to get. Like a lot of people are going for them. Definitely understandable. So what I wanted to do in college was like make sure that my resume was filled out in the gaps that I had. So for me, like I didn't have many leadership experience in my portfolio, and I didn't have many. I wanted a job in sales, but I didn't have like sales experience. So what I did is I created a club with sales. You gotta do something that caters to what you want and what you want to do. So if you're a marketing student, like definitely create that portfolio for yourself. Like be a participant in certain like webinars, kind of like this, right? Just be involved as much as you can, regardless, of having a job. Because obviously the internships are tough to come by. But if you can pair an internship with multiple experiences, whether through a club or extracurriculars, it's going to really strengthen yourself and your resume moving forward.
Nice. All right, Summer.
I really like, Aaron, what you said about creating your own experience. I would add on to that and also say to seek out experiences that will challenge you. So when I was doing the Adobe Student Ambassador program in college, and it was essentially a role where I was teaching other people how to use Creative Cloud programs, I absolutely hated public speaking. It scared me so much. And also, I had taught myself a lot of the Creative Cloud Labs. So that was new for me too. But it was something that challenged me. And I didn't know at the time when I was doing it exactly where it would take me, doing all the workshops and being involved in something like that program. But I knew that it would challenge me and give me the skills that I wanted to have, that would transfer into potential jobs. And so, even though now, as a project manager, I'm not really doing Creative Cloud workshops as part of my main role, I'm still using a lot of those skills. I'm making presentations, I'm teaching other people how to use certain tools. And so it's one of those experiences where it wasn't a job or an internship, but I was seeking out some opportunity where I could challenge myself and build those transferable skills that then led to something that would support the job that I have now.
Nice. And then Sabrina, let's talk about your internship. You got that like right after being a student, right?
Yeah. Yeah, the internship was like an interesting thing because I applied for it, when I was kind of like applying for a lot of stuff and not getting a lot of stuff and just being frustrated about it. And then Disney takes a long time to get back to you. So if you apply for Disney and you don't hear anything for 2 months, like hold out hope, because I applied in like February and I think I heard back in like April. So about doing an interview. So yeah, I mean, for this question specifically, I think they said it best. Like, definitely, if you don't have any experience, make your own experience, and it doesn't have to be professional experience. Making your experience work for you. I mean, specific to graphic design, in my experience, my mom has a small business, and I did social media for her and graphic design for her website and all that stuff. And I wasn't getting paid, and it wasn't an internship, and it wasn't anything that anybody hired me for, but it was definitely like so much experience that I could point to during that interview and say, I might not have had like a job for the last year, but I've been doing XYZ and it's helped me and it's going to help me in this position. So.
Perfect. Love that. All right. So we are going to take a little bit of a creative break right now. I saw some questions about the project, about like how to customize it. So yes, definitely customize it. And if you're just joining, we are running a special challenge where you have to remix a template in Adobe Express. I'll have Ahmad drop the link in the chat again. But pretty much we're going to actually have Summer this time demonstrate how she uses Adobe Express in one of her projects. So I'm just going to go ahead and share this really quick. 1 second. Let me get situated. All right.
Alrighty.
Whenever you're ready, tell me when to hit play.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, let's go.
So this is me just kind of creating an Adobe Express LinkedIn banner so that you can kind of represent your personal brand, as we're already talking about on LinkedIn. Express has a lot of templates that you can start with, which are really handy. So this is kind of a few of the options that are available to you. But in the tutorial here, I do want to show you how to also make one from scratch. So I'm starting with some of the elements that Express already has, like backgrounds and other shapes, and choosing one that has the colors that I want to represent myself. We're then using the shapes that are available to bring in my personal brand by taking those same colors that are in that background and creating sort of a unified look and feel. Here I am using those smart guides also to line up my shapes and create like a nice balanced LinkedIn banner. And then from there, you can add your text. So typically for a LinkedIn banner, I would always just add like my name and my current role or whatever skills I wanted to highlight at the time. Here, that would be just me like choosing the little fonts here, sticking with that Adobe brand for this example specifically. And then taking a long time to move that around. And the cool thing about Express also is that it's analyzing your design as you work. So you'll see recommended options over there in the side panel for different text effects. That'll also show up when you're working with different colors, all options to help challenge you as you're working and create something a little bit new if you're maybe feeling stuck working without a template. And so there's my full job title, putting that there and kind of making it the same width as my name to create that balance. And then lastly, I do also want to, jazz it up a little bit. So we're going to add some of the other elements that are available in Express, pre-made for you, super easy, to add a little bit more fun to the LinkedIn banner. It's really a space where you can be creative. You don't have to keep it to just a solid color in your name or your school or a stock photo or anything. You can totally bring in any elements and designs that speak to you. And so again, there's so many to choose from. I'm clearly having a difficult time selecting one, but I just chose this little leaf here, positioning that in the center for balance. And then we have a full LinkedIn banner ready to easily upload in your profile.
Nice. That was pretty simple. I'm gonna be honest. I love this design so much. And I honestly I didn't even use Adobe Express to make my LinkedIn banner, but this definitely reminded me that I definitely should do that. So
Yeah.
that's so awesome. Okay, and it was super easy. So again, y'all, we are running this nice little Adobe Express challenge. So I think Shell just dropped the link in the chat. So feel free to follow that link, remix it, change up the text, add in your photos, design assets, your logos, change the colors, even animate it. I saw someone animated their post. Yes, you can do video in Adobe Express now. So definitely check that out as we're going through the session. Okay, so back to the questions now. All right. So let me see. Okay, so I have a couple resume questions, but I'm going to just condense it into like one broad question. But in your honest opinions, when submitting in a resume, we want to make sure that it's, available, like able to be scanned by the ATS scanner, right? So I guess this is a very, not a controversial question, but is it better to have a plain text resume versus a design resume? And if your answer is both, then when would be the appropriate time to use either one? We'll start with, yes, Sabrina.
Yes. I was someone who like put like a big banner on the side of my resume that like I illustrated and like did the whole thing. And I would suggest to go more simple than designed, just because, I mean, design it to where it's nice and clean and to where, I mean, it doesn't have to be just like looking like a Word document and like, with everything straight and stacked, right, all left aligned and everything. But I would say err on the side of more simple, legible, and that that people are gonna, get it right away. Like I know I see a lot like on LinkedIn and like Behance where there's a picture of you and like everything's, really beautiful. There's a background and everything. Me personally, I I jazz it up with color. I like the color pink. My resume, like all the headlines are pink. Like that's my thing. Not a crazy pink, but like a business pink. And and but that's sorry. But that's as jazzy as mine gets. Mine's like a 2-column, pretty standard resume. And then I have like a little color bar at the top and a color bar at the bottom. So I would say make it easiest on you and the person looking at your resume to just go on the simple side.
Yes. And Courtney said, yes, hashtag business pink. We love to see it. Okay. Aaron, what is your opinion on this?
Yeah, I think this is a really good question. I think it really depends on the job that you want. So if you're like a marketer, graphic designer, let's jazz that thing up. Let's put that business pink on there. Let's make it nice. But like for a job that's, for sales or for consulting, you may want to be more professional with it. So it really depends what kind of role that you want. And then in terms of like resume best practices, I think it's probably been discussed, you've probably heard it before, but strongly believe in the XYZ format, right? I accomplished this. It was measured by this, by doing that. Businesses want to see the impact that you do more so than not just like, oh, I called this amount of people. Like, why'd you do it? Like, what was the point of it? So I would follow that XYZ format. I'll throw a little article in the chat just in case you guys are curious, but I would follow that format if you're doing a resume for maybe sales consulting, and you're a graphic designer, marketer, you can do that as well, but also just dress up the resume a little bit as well.
Nice. All right, Vicky.
Yeah, I think definitely I think depends on the job, but I think I can speak to, product design or user experience design resume. I think simple is the key here, especially when I was in school. I think my resume, I design it with, graphic elements and, a lot of cute access and stuff. But then I also quickly realized that it doesn't pass through the ATS system for that resume. So I would say whatever you do, make sure is in PDF, so that it can go through the ATS system, especially for company that use those. And just keep it simple, and make sure it's accessible as well, meaning it's easy to read, and your kind of like orders of things is just makes sense and easy to understand. I think for me, if I can give like a resume tips, I would say look at other people's resume, especially the people that work at the company that you want to join, because they got in for a reason. So let's say if you want to work at Adobe, look up the people who is doing the roles that you like at Adobe and see what they put on their resume, and see how they structure their resume and how they, kind of like promote themselves and how they talk about their value that they bring to the company. So that's one thing that really helped me kind of like tailor my resume specifically to each company. And when I say to each company, I actually fix my resume specifically for the company that I apply for. So I have like maybe 15 different resume when I was applying for internship. And the two things that I would avoid is graphic elements, because sometimes it's kind of messed up your resume parsing, the software that loaded. So there's like a bunch of software online that you can upload your resume and see how it appears on the ATS system. So that's one thing. And then the other thing is avoid kind of like progress bar and things like that, because from hiring perspective, you can say like, oh, Adobe Photoshop, 4 out of 5 star. It doesn't say much about your skill level or like your knowledge of the software, because we on the hiring side, they don't know what 5 out of 10 means in that sense. So I see a lot of resume that have that. So that's something I would suggest to avoid. But yeah.
Nice. Those are amazing tips. Okay. And last but not least, Summer.
I use also a lot of the tips that have already been mentioned, but I will say a few things on, so the format, first of all, I applied to like graphic design, marketing, social media roles with the same style of resume that I applied to consulting roles. And so I would say the most graphic element I've ever done was simply adding a header that had like a straight black bar across the top, and it had my initials. And that was like my logo that I used across my portfolio because I had a creative portfolio for graphic design roles. But it was also still a clean enough format where I could highlight all of my accomplishments in an easy to read way for those consulting roles that I was also applying for. So with that, the rest of my resume was pretty much for readability, also in one column. I think that that's also key for those readers to be able to pick up which of your experiences line up with specific roles. So I would also recommend keeping it all in one column. And then as far as the wording, because I know that this can be kind of hard to figure out like a different verb to kind of say at the beginning of some of your sentences. I would truly look up all of the job descriptions or example resumes for the roles that I was applying for and companies that I was applying for. I also, like Vicky, had multiple versions of these resumes for different roles because I was applying for marketing and creative roles at the same time that I was applying for like consulting. So I would use different wording from existing job descriptions to guide how I was presenting my experiences on my resume. And then, just like it was already mentioned, make sure to include the quantifiable impact of as many of your accomplishments as you can, because that is really like key to showing what you did in a role.
Yes, I love it. And also, I'm screaming. How many versions of your resume do you guys have? Vicky said 15. Summer, how many versions?
I definitely had a different one for every role that I was applying for, so that varied year by year, but yeah, based on the roles, for sure.
Okay, all right. Well, screams in one version. Okay, well, I am definitely taking that tip for sure. I love that. And then I have Donna in the chat that says, oh my gosh, your comments are very valuable, Vicky, regarding the PDF, OCR enabled and accessible. Make sure your resume makes it through the automated process so that a person will finally be able to evaluate your resume. Samantha said, thank you so much for answering my question. I heard so many different answers to this question, so this is very helpful. So I'm so glad you guys are finding value from this session. Again, feel free to keep asking questions in the chat or work on your design. We still have a couple minutes left, so don't worry, keep on going. Okay, so I have another question here that says, given the huge spectrum of careers that resonate within being a graphic designer, how did you all know what specific career you wanted to go to in the industry? And I'm going to open up because we have some folks who aren't designers here, but just in your industry overall, the creative industry overall, how did you know that this was the path you wanted to take? Let's see. I feel like I always pick Aaron first, but let's go. Aaron.
That sounds good. For me, it was a lot of trial and error for me. So in college, when I started out, I knew I wanted to work in tech for sure, but I just didn't know what I wanted to do. So I did a marketing internship my freshman year, realized I was not very much of a creative. Sophomore year, I did investment banking. I just did not like the culture. So there's a lot of trial and error within that, but I just did an internship with sales, found that I really enjoyed working with people, working with clients. And I just leaned into that as much as possible. So once I found that I loved it, I was like, okay, let me do a club, let me do extracurriculars, let me do anything I can to just showcase how much I love and enjoy this job. So for me, it was very much trial and error. Like there were so many jobs I wanted to do that I realized was not a good fit for me. So just all about finding your niche, finding what your drive is, and like what is you, what's that thing that gets you going each and every day.
Nice, love that. All right, Sabrina.
Yeah, honestly, I mean, still like on the path to figuring out the path myself. But I think like as someone who's also trying to figure it out, I think knowing what you don't like doing is just as helpful as knowing what you do like doing. I mean, you try different kinds of work and you try different kinds of projects. Like I was in marketing for a little bit, like advertising for a business who was selling one specific thing, and that wasn't resonating with me as far as, sitting in an office and that being what you do every day, selling things. And yeah, I think, just trying out what you think you might like and then seeing if it sticks and seeing if it doesn't, which isn't super specific, but it's something that I'm telling myself to do right now.
All right. right. Who's next? Who next? Vicky? Yeah, we'll do Vicky.
Yeah, I think the key is, I think like Aaron and Sabrina said, is to, find what you like and go through like try and errors and then see what works for you. I think for my case, I grown up in like a creative household. So I was kind of lucky to kind of like find out that I love being like working in creative industry. And so my try and error is actually trying to find within that kind of like creative industry, what are the area of focus I want to, test out. So before Adobe, I was at, working at a couple of different startups, tried out different, marketing agency and work at, design agency and see what the vibe feels like and what I don't like. And then before Adobe, I was at DoorDash also as a product designer intern. So I have some experience with consumer app and, building apps, for the mass consumptions. I also work at, medical company as a consultant or like a design consultant and designers there as well. So kind of like testing out different industry that I like within as a designer. So then, I was lucky to got into Adobe and now designing tools for designers. And I think this is like the happy path that I think I really enjoy. But yeah, just try it out, different things, different companies. And that said, like internship is like super helpful. So I would say prioritize getting an internship to try it out, different companies is going to be the key that help you to find out what you like.
Love that. Love that. And last but not least, Summer.
I would say, so now my like official job title is consultant, and I don't know many people who have dreamed of being a consultant from a childhood perspective, but I do think that there is a lot of opportunity to bring in skills from lots of industries, which makes it really cool. And so I think that that is kind of what brought me to the role that I'm in now is trying lots of things, as has already been mentioned. But I also want to say, with that in mind, like all of my experiences in college were graphic design, social media marketing, digital marketing. All of my internships were marketing and social media focused. The role that I'm in now is very different from those experiences. So I would say, as you're trying new things, challenging yourself, I still have a love for marketing and graphic design. And although it's not what I'm doing necessarily in my day to day, it is still something that I'm enjoying and I'm loving the things that I do now and the projects that I'm on. And it's so different every day. So I feel like that's also something to keep in mind. Like we are all figuring it out as we go. I certainly do not have like a 10-year plan, but I think that that's absolutely okay. Like you do not need to know your entire life plan now in order to enjoy what you're doing. It's more important, and this is something that I've heard from leaders that I've worked with so far, to just know the next step and keep looking for the next step. So even in my role, I'm continuing to network and continuing to try to find those side projects that allow me to bring in my graphic design skills wherever I can as a project manager. And all of that is what still, it makes me love what I do now, but also keeps me excited about how my role in 5 years, 10 years could be completely different. And so I think that that's what keeps things exciting and, you know, takes the pressure off of having to find the thing.
Nice. I love that. Okay. Now, one last final question. We're going to do semi-lightning round on this. So maybe like a couple sentences or less. But I always like to wrap up these kinds of events with this question. And if you could give one last piece of advice, one last thing for everyone to take away from this session, what would it be? Just one piece of advice to leave with everyone today. We'll start with Aaron. We'll go in alphabetical order this time.
Make it tough. I don't know if I can do one, but be confident, be curious, find experiences for yourself. When you can't find some, mix your own.
Love it. All right, Sabrina.
Network. Don't be afraid to reach out to people and, attend things like this and meet people, connect with them on LinkedIn, send messages to people who you want jobs like them. Make friends.
Love that. All right, Summer.
I would say always look for a way to innovate and go beyond the norm. Be creative in any role that you're in so that you can really make an impact.
And Vicky.
I would say enjoy the process, and especially, I think this is a big one, is go find a mentor. It's going to be super helpful for your career.
Boom, there it is. Awesome. Thank you guys so much for taking the time out of your day to chat with us. Thanks to everyone in chat. We really all appreciate it, the entire community. And of course, thank you so much to all of our panelists, Summer, Vicky, Aaron, Sabrina. Thank you so much for all of your time and for answering all these questions. Again, y'all, like if you want to connect with them after the session, Shell is dropping all their socials. Feel free to also drop your socials as well, everyone in chat. And just feel free to connect after this session if you have any questions. I know we only had an hour, such a short amount of time for questions. So feel free to take this offline and connect and network from there. And if you entered the giveaway, post it in chat. You still have a couple seconds left. I still have my ending spiel, so y'all have time if you're still working. But be on the lookout for a recap email from us, which will include the replay of this session and also the randomly selected people for the giveaway. So be on the lookout for that. And also, we would love your feedback on this event so that we can help make them better for you in the future. So please take a moment to fill out our post-event survey. It really, really helps us out. The link will be in the chat. Shell will drop it. Thank you so much. And yeah, with that said, that pretty much wraps it up for this session. Again, thank you all so much for joining tonight, and also thank you again to our panelists, to Megan, Shell, and Temple for hosting this event, and everyone in this wonderful student community. And yes, if you want to see more episodes of past events of our Young Creators series, there is a YouTube playlist on, I believe, the Adobe Creative Cloud YouTube channel. And you can also find more tips and tutorials on the Adobe Express YouTube channel for stuff for Adobe Express. And also you can find out more upcoming events that you can join for our Adobe Creative Community Discord server. So all of the links, all that information will be in the recap email and in the chat. But with that said, thank you all so much for joining. Have a great evening. All right. Goodbye.